Harold and Mabel Johnson had lived in their small cozy house on Elm Street for more than 40 years. The house was simple, with white walls and a little garden in front, but it was full of memories. Every corner of the home reminded them of moments they had shared as a family. The kitchen held the smell of Mabel's baking. The living room echoed with laughter from birthdays and holidays, and the old wooden chairs on the porch had seen countless evenings of quiet talks and starry skies. Harold had spent 30 years as a librarian at the local library. He loved books and often shared stories from them with his neighbors and children. Mabel, gentle and caring, spent her time in the garden and volunteered at the community center. The neighborhood knew them as kind, honest people. Children often ran to their house to hear Harold's stories, while adults admired Mabel's roses and the delicious treats she shared with everyone. Their life was calm and happy, full of simple joys that came from helping others and caring for each other. One sunny morning, Harold was sitting in his favorite armchair reading the newspaper, while Mabel carefully watered her roses. The peace of the day was suddenly broken when the mail arrived. Among the usual letters was an envelope with a strange official-looking stamp. Harold opened it and began reading. As his eyes scanned the words, his face turned pale. He read the letter again, and a heavy silence filled the room. "They want us to leave, Mabel," Harold said softly, his voice shaking. Mabel's hands froze on the watering can. She slowly set it down and sat next to him. "Leave, but this is our home," she whispered. Tears came to her eyes. She had grown up in this house, and every memory, every corner was a part of her life. She could not imagine leaving it. The letter said that the new owners of the street property wanted Harold and Mabel to move out immediately. The words were harsh, and they gave no reason except that the land had changed ownership. For the Johnsons, the letter felt like a storm breaking into their calm life. Harold and Mabel tried to think clearly. They had lived with love and respect for their neighbors. They had never caused trouble. How could someone just ask them to leave the home they had built together? Mabel held Harold's hand tightly. "We cannot let this happen without trying, Harold." "There must be a way," she said. Harold nodded, trying to gather courage. They decided to call their children. Their children were adopted many years ago. Anna, the oldest, had a calm and confident nature. Leo, the middle child, was strong and brave. Sarah, the youngest, was smart and caring. Each of them had been a part of Harold and Mabel's family for years, and they loved their parents deeply. When the children heard about the eviction, they immediately promised to help. "Don't worry, Mom and Dad, we will handle this," Anna said over the phone. Leo added, "We will not let anyone take your home from you." Sarah's voice was filled with determination. "We will be there soon. You just stay safe." For the first time since receiving the letter, Harold and Mabel felt a small relief. They knew that with their children's support they had hope. Still, a heavy worry remained. They knew the world could be unfair, and they did not know what to expect. That evening, Harold and Mabel sat on their porch together. The sky was painted in shades of orange and pink. They held hands silently, thinking about the life they had built in that house. Memories of laughter, celebrations, and quiet moments together filled their hearts. They knew that the days ahead would be challenging, but they also felt a sense of hope. Their children were coming, and with them, perhaps a way to keep their home. Harold looked at Mabel and said, "No matter what happens, we have each other, and we have them. That is something no one can take away." Mabel smiled softly, her tears now mixed with courage. They both knew that the fight for their home had just begun, but together they could face it. The next morning, the Johnsons' small house was filled with quiet excitement. Anna, Leo, and Sarah were on their way. Each of them had left their homes early in the morning to reach Elm Street. They wanted to arrive before any meetings or actions could force their parents to leave. Their love for Harold and Mabel was strong, and they were ready to do everything they could to protect their home. Harold looked out of the window and saw a car approaching. He could not believe how fast the time had passed. Mabel clutched his arm, and both of them felt a mixture of hope and nervousness. The car stopped in front of the house, and Anna stepped out first. She carried a folder full of papers.
"Mom, Dad!"
she called, running toward them with a big smile. Leo followed, holding a notebook and a camera, while Sarah came behind carrying a small bag. The moment was full of warmth and relief. Harold opened the door and hugged each of them. Mabel's eyes shone with tears of joy. "You came so fast," she said, her voice trembling. "We had no doubt you would, Mom," Anna replied. We will not let anyone take this home from you." After a moment of hugs and greetings, they all sat in the living room. Anna opened her folder and spread the papers on the table. She had researched everything carefully. "We need to check the legal documents of the new owners and our rights," she said. "There are ways to challenge an eviction if it is not fair." Leo nodded. "We can also talk to the neighbors. Maybe they will help us. Everyone knows how long our parents have lived here and how good they have been to this community." Sarah added, "We should also document everything. Photos of the house, the garden, the porch, and the letter. This can help if anyone questions our claims." Harold and Mabel listened carefully. They felt proud and happy to see their children working together so calmly and efficiently. The worry that had weighed them down for days slowly began to lift. Later that day, the children decided to go around the neighborhood. They spoke with people who had lived there for many years. Most of the neighbors remembered Harold and Mabel as helpful and kind. They shared stories of the Johnsons giving food to those in need, helping children with school projects, and always keeping the streets safe and friendly. A few neighbors agreed to come forward and support them if needed. Anna felt encouraged. "This is more than just a house," she said. "It is a part of the community and people know it. We have support." Meanwhile, Leo took photos of the house and garden, capturing every detail. Sarah wrote notes about the letter and the timeline of events. They wanted to make sure that every important piece of information was organized. That evening, the family sat down together for dinner. The atmosphere was filled with a quiet determination. Harold and Mabel felt a sense of hope they had not felt since receiving the eviction letter. They were not alone, and their children were ready to protect the home they had built together. After dinner, Anna suggested a plan. "Tomorrow we will meet with the local council and ask for guidance. We will explain the situation and show them that this eviction is unfair. We have evidence, neighbors, and community support. This will help," Leo added. "And we can also write a letter to the owners asking them to reconsider. Sometimes people respond better when they see how much a home means to the family." Sarah nodded. "We can do both. The legal path and the human path. This house has memories, and that matters too." Harold looked at his children and felt a deep sense of pride. They were not only smart, but also kind and thoughtful. Mabel held his hand. "We are lucky to have them," she whispered. Harold nodded. "Yes, we are. And maybe with their help, this house will remain ours." The night ended with hope in the Johnsons' hearts. The children had arrived. Plans were in place, and the fight to save the home was beginning. For the first time in days, Harold and Mabel slept peacefully, knowing that they were not alone and that together, their family could face any challenge. The next morning, Anna, Leo, and Sarah woke early, ready to put their plan into action. The sun was just rising, and the light reflected off the white walls of the Johnsons' house, making it glow softly. Harold and Mabel were already in the kitchen, preparing breakfast. The smell of toast and fresh fruit filled the air. "Are you ready?" Anna asked, placing the folder of papers on the table. Her siblings nodded. "We have everything organized," Leo said, adjusting his notebook. Sarah added, "We know what we need to say, and we have the neighbors' support. Today we start." After breakfast, they all gathered outside. The neighborhood looked peaceful, but Harold and Mabel knew that their home was in danger. The children walked to the first house on the street, introducing themselves and explaining the situation. "My parents have lived here for 40 years, Anna said. "The new owners want to evict them. They are kind and have always helped this community. We hope you can support them." Most neighbors listened carefully. Some remembered small acts of kindness, like bringing food to someone who was sick or helping children with homework. One neighbor, Mrs. Carter, spoke first. "Harold and Mabel have always been good people. You can count on me to help in any way I can." Soon, other neighbors nodded and promised to stand with the Johnsons. The children felt encouraged by the growing support. Meanwhile, Leo took photographs of the house and the garden. Every flower, window, and corner was documented. He wanted to show how much care had gone into the home over the years. Sarah wrote a clear timeline of events: the letter, the notice, and the conversations with neighbors. Every detail could be important later. After gathering support from the neighborhood, the children decided to contact the local council. They arrived at the small town office and met with Mr. Benson, a council officer known for helping families in need. Anna explained the situation calmly, showing the papers and the photographs. "This is not just about property," she said. "It is about a family and a home that has been part of this community for decades. My parents deserve fairness. Mr. Benson listened attentively. You have organized this very well, he said. I will review the documents and contact the property owners. In the meantime, I advise the family to stay calm and maintain their home as it is. Do not leave under pressure. Anna thanked him and left with a sense of hope. The children then returned home and wrote a polite letter to the new owners. They explained the family's history with the house, the years of care, and the importance of the home to their parents. They offered to meet and discuss any concerns. Sometimes understanding and respect can solve problems, Sarah said. We need to show them who we are and what this home means. By evening, the Johnsons' house was full of neighbors offering support. Some brought food, others offered to speak to the property owners if needed. Harold and Mabel were deeply moved. We never imagined so many people would stand with us, Mabel said, tears in her eyes. Harold smiled and hugged his children. We are truly lucky. This house has been filled with love for many years, and now that love is helping protect it. That night, the Johnsons sat together on the porch. The stars were shining, and the quiet street felt safe and comforting. Anna, Leo, and Sarah discussed the next steps. They planned to follow up with the council and remain ready to speak with the property owners. The house felt alive with determination and hope. Harold looked at his children and said, You have turned our fear into courage. You have reminded us that family can face any challenge together. Mabel nodded. Yes, and it is not only our courage but also the kindness of our neighbors that gives us strength. We are not alone. As the family went to bed that night, they felt a quiet confidence. They had started taking action, gathered support, and built a plan. The fight to save the Johnsons' home had begun, but for the first time it felt like victory was possible. The next morning, the Johnsons' house was alive with quiet determination. Harold and Mabel were preparing breakfast while Anna, Leo, and Sarah checked their plans once again. Today they would meet the new owners. The meeting could be uncomfortable, but the children knew that honesty, respect, and calm words could make a difference. Anna, holding the folder with all the documents, said, We need to explain our parents' history with this house. We should show them how much this home means to the family. Leo nodded. And we can show them the support from neighbors and the community. Maybe they will understand. Sarah added, We should stay polite and listen to what they say. Understanding their perspective can help us find a solution. The family walked to the house of the new owners. The building was taller than the Johnsons' home and looked modern and clean. When they rang the doorbell, a young woman named Mrs. Collins opened the door. She looked surprised but polite. Hello, can I help you? She asked. Anna stepped forward. Mrs. Collins, we are the family of Harold and Mabel Johnson. We recently received a notice asking them to leave their home. We wanted to meet you and explain why this home is very important to them. Mrs. Collins looked at the children curiously. Please come in, she said, leading them inside. Once seated, the children began to speak. Anna showed the documents and explained the history of the house. This home has been part of our family for over 40 years, she said. My parents raised a family here and cared for the neighborhood. They have always been kind to everyone around them. Leo added, The neighbors know my parents and support them. They value their presence and the care they give to the community. Sarah then showed the letter they had written, explaining the importance of keeping the home. We are not trying to cause trouble, she said. We just want to ask for understanding. Our parents' home is more than just a house. Mrs. Collins listened quietly, her expression softening. I did not know this home had such a history, she said. I thought it was just a property that could be used differently. I understand now that it is very special to your family. Anna smiled gently. We are willing to find a solution that works for everyone. We respect your position as the owners, but we hope you can see the value of letting our parents stay. Mrs. Collins nodded thoughtfully. I appreciate how calmly and respectfully you have explained everything. I want to consider the best solution for everyone. Perhaps we can find a way for your parents to remain in the home, while also planning for future changes. The conversation continued for some time. The children remained calm and polite, answering questions and showing the support of the neighbors. Harold and Mabel, who had followed their children quietly, were amazed. They had never imagined that their children could handle the situation with such patience and skill. After the meeting, Mrs. Collins spoke again. I need a little time to discuss this with my team, but I promise I will consider your family's history and the community support. I want to make a fair decision. Anna, Leo, and Sarah thanked her. They left the house feeling hopeful. Back at their home, Harold and Mabel hugged their children. "You have done an incredible job," Harold said, his voice filled with pride. Mabel nodded, tears in her eyes. "Yes, you have shown courage and respect. You have reminded us that honesty and kindness can solve problems." That evening, the family sat together on the porch. The stars twinkled above, and the quiet street felt calm and safe. They spoke about the day and the meeting. "It went better than I expected," Leo said. "Now we wait and hope Mrs. Collins makes the right choice." Anna agreed. "We have done everything we could. Now it is up to her." Harold and Mabel held hands and smiled. For the first time since receiving the eviction letter, they felt real hope. Their children had stepped in with courage and wisdom, and their home had a chance to stay safe. The family knew that challenges might still come, but together they could face anything. The following morning, the Johnsons' house was filled with a quiet energy. Harold and Mabel were making breakfast while Anna, Leo, and Sarah were planning the next steps. The meeting with Mrs. Collins had given them hope, but they knew that patience and persistence were necessary. They wanted to make sure their parents' home was protected completely. Anna suggested, "We should visit more neighbors today. If more people show support, it will be clear that our parents are an important part of the community." Leo nodded. "We can also talk to the local council again. They might help speed up the process or provide advice." Sarah added, "And we should prepare for any questions Mrs. Collins might have. She might want details about the house or our parents' life here." The children split into small teams to talk to neighbors. Anna and Leo went down the street while Sarah stayed with Harold and Mabel to organize papers and letters of support. As Anna and Leo walked from house to house, neighbors greeted them warmly. Many were already aware of the situation and were eager to help. Mrs. Reed, an elderly woman who had lived on the street for more than 50 years, smiled warmly. "Harold and Mabel have been part of this community for decades. They are kind and generous. Of course, I will support them." Another neighbor, Mr. Thompson, said, "This house is part of the neighborhood's history. It cannot just be taken away. I will sign any letter that helps your parents." By midday, the children had gathered more signatures, letters, and promises of support. Leo showed the photos of the house to neighbors who had not seen it recently. "Look at how well they have cared for this home," he said. "This is more than a house. It is a life built with love." Many neighbors nodded, agreeing that the Johnsons deserved to stay. Back at the house, Sarah helped Harold and Mabel write thank you notes for the neighbors. The couple felt deeply touched by the community's kindness. Harold said, "We never imagined that so many people would stand with us. It makes our hearts full of gratitude." Mabel hugged her children. "This shows that honesty, kindness, and love for others always bring support. I am proud of all of you." In the afternoon, the children returned to the local council. They met Mr. Benson again, who reviewed the new letters, photographs, and signatures from neighbors. "You have done a wonderful job," he said. "The evidence is clear. Your parents have community support and a strong connection to the house. This will help a lot in any discussion with the owners." Anna smiled. "Thank you. We want to make sure everyone understands how important this home is." After the council meeting, the children stopped by the property office to follow up with Mrs. Collins. They handed over the letters, photographs, and notes from neighbors. "We hope this will help you see how much this home means to our family and the community," Anna said politely. Mrs. Collins looked surprised by the effort and said, "I can see how much care and support your parents have. This makes me think very differently about the situation." When the family returned home, Harold and Mabel felt relief and happiness. The house was alive with energy and hope. Even the garden seemed brighter under the sun. Mabel smiled and said, "It feels like our home is protected already, thanks to our children and our neighbors." Harold nodded. "Yes, and it also shows that when people work together with respect and honesty, challenges can be faced with courage." That evening, the family sat on the porch, watching the sunset. They talked about the neighbors' kindness, the council's help, and their own efforts. The house felt safe, full of hope and determination. Anna said, "We have done everything we can. Now we wait and trust that the right decision will be made." Leo added, "Even if there are more challenges, we know our family can face them. We are stronger together." Sarah nodded. "Yes, and this experience has shown us that community and love are more powerful than fear or threats." Harold and Mabel held hands and smiled. For the first time in days, they felt peace. Their children had not only protected their home, but also reminded them of the strength of family and community. The fight was not over yet, but hope was alive and their hearts were full. The following morning, the Johnsons' house was full of quiet anticipation. Harold and Mabel moved about slowly, preparing breakfast while Anna, Leo, and Sarah discussed the day's plan. They had already gathered community support, documented the house's history, and spoken to the council. Now it was time to wait for a response from Mrs. Collins, the new owner, and her team. Around midday, a phone call came. Anna answered and her eyes widened. "It's Mrs. Collins," she said, her voice filled with excitement. "She wants to meet with us tomorrow to discuss the home. She says she has reviewed everything and wants to understand more." Leo grinned. "This is great news. It means our efforts are working." Sarah nodded. "We should prepare carefully. The goal is to make her see the value of keeping our parents in the house." That evening, the family gathered on the porch. Harold and Mabel were full of pride and gratitude. "You have done so much for us," Harold said. "We could never have imagined such support from you and the neighbors." Mabel hugged her children. "Yes, you have reminded us that courage, respect, and love always create hope." The next morning, Anna, Leo, Sarah, Harold, and Mabel arrived at Mrs. Collins' office. It was a bright room with a large window overlooking the town. Mrs. Collins greeted them warmly. "I have reviewed the documents, the letters, and the photos.
I also spoke with my team and we understand the history and significance of your parents' home," she said. Anna spoke first.
We are grateful for your willingness to meet with us. This home is not just a building. It is where our family grew, where my parents shared love and care with the community. We hope you can see that." Leo added, "We have also gathered support from neighbors. They value our parents' presence and believe this house should remain in their care." Sarah then handed over the letters of support. "We wanted to show how much this home matters, not only to our family but also to the neighborhood." Mrs. Collins listened carefully, flipping through the letters and looking at the photos. "I did not realize how much history and care were tied to this property," she said. "I thought this was only a matter of ownership, but now I see the personal and community value. This changes my perspective." Harold and Mabel, standing quietly behind their children, felt their hearts lift. They could see that their home was no longer just a house in someone's plans. It was now a home that mattered to others too. Anna suggested, "We are willing to find a solution that benefits everyone. Perhaps an agreement can be made so that our parents can remain while respecting your plans." Mrs. Collins nodded thoughtfully. "Yes, I want to find a fair solution. I do not want to cause harm, but I also need to manage the property responsibly. I believe we can work something out." The discussion continued with practical ideas. They talked about maintenance, responsibilities, and agreements to respect the property, while ensuring the Johnsons' home remained safe. Everyone spoke calmly and politely. The atmosphere in the room was positive and cooperative. After nearly 2 hours, Mrs. Collins stood and smiled. "I have made a decision," she said. "Your parents can stay in the house. I see how important it is to them and the community. I also appreciate your respect and organization. It made me understand why this home must remain in your care." The Johnsons and their children were overjoyed. Harold shook Mrs. Collins' hand, his eyes shining. "Thank you. This means more than words can say." Mabel added, "Your understanding has given us hope and peace. We are grateful for your kindness." Anna, Leo, and Sarah exchanged smiles. Their efforts had worked. They had combined patience, respect, and planning to protect the family's home. They felt proud, knowing that their parents could remain in the place they loved. Back at the house, the family celebrated quietly. They sat on the porch watching the sun set and feeling safe for the first time in weeks. Harold looked at Mabel and whispered, "We are truly blessed, not only with this home but with such children and a caring community." Mabel nodded, her heart full of gratitude. "Yes, our family has shown that love, courage, and respect can overcome even the hardest challenges." That night, the Johnsons slept peacefully, knowing that their home was safe, their family was united, and their neighbors stood with them. The journey had been challenging, but it had strengthened their bonds and reminded them of the power of family and community. The next morning, the Johnsons' house felt brighter than ever. Sunlight poured through the windows and the garden seemed to bloom with extra color. Harold and Mabel moved about with calm happiness, while Anna, Leo, and Sarah were already planning small ways to celebrate the good news. The house that had been under threat for weeks was now safe, thanks to their determination and the support of the neighbors. Anna suggested, "We should invite the neighbors for a small gathering. They helped us so much, and they should see that our parents' home is safe now." Leo nodded. "It will also show Mrs. Collins how important community support can be. Everyone will feel included and respected." Sarah added, "We can prepare some snacks and drinks. It does not need to be fancy, just a friendly celebration." The family spent the morning cleaning the house and arranging the garden. Mabel carefully placed fresh flowers in vases, while Harold polished the porch chairs. The children carried boxes of snacks and prepared a small area in the garden for their guests. By noon, the house looked welcoming and cheerful. Soon neighbors began to arrive. Mrs. Reed, Mr. Thompson, and many others walked up the small path, smiling and carrying small gifts or treats. They were excited to see the Johnsons' house safe and to share in the joy of the family. "We are so happy your home is secure," Mrs. Reed said warmly. "It is wonderful to see this family protected by their children and the community." Harold and Mabel welcomed each neighbor with gratitude. "Thank you all for your support," Harold said, his voice full of emotion. "We could not have done this without you. You helped our children show that love and care make a difference." Mabel added, "We feel blessed to live in such a kind neighborhood. Your support gave us hope when we needed it most." The children guided neighbors through the house and garden, showing the photographs and letters of support they had collected. "Look at all the ways the community helped us," Leo said. "This house is not just our parents' home. It belongs to the hearts of everyone who cares about it." Mrs. Collins arrived later in the afternoon. She had accepted the invitation to see the home in person and meet the neighbors who had supported the Johnsons. She walked slowly through the garden and into the house, looking around with appreciation. "I can see why this home means so much," she said. "The care, the memories, and the community support make it truly special." Anna stepped forward and said, "We wanted to show you how much love surrounds this home. It is more than just a building. It is a part of the lives of many people." Mrs. Collins smiled. "I understand completely. I am glad we could find a solution that respects your family and the community." The rest of the afternoon was filled with laughter and friendly conversation. Neighbors shared stories about Harold and Mabel's kindness and the ways they had helped the community. The children listened with pride, knowing their efforts had protected not only the house but also the happiness of their parents and neighbors. As the sun began to set, Harold looked at his family and the neighbors gathered around. "This day shows the power of love, respect, and determination," he said. Mabel nodded, tears of happiness in her eyes. "Yes, it reminds us that when people care for each other, even the hardest challenges can be overcome." Anna, Leo, and Sarah smiled at each other. Their plan had worked. They had protected their parents' home, strengthened the bond with the community, and shown that kindness and courage could solve problems without conflict. When the neighbors left, the Johnsons' house was quiet and calm once more. Harold and Mabel sat on the porch holding hands. "We are truly blessed," Harold said softly. "This home is safe. Our children are wise and brave, and our neighbors are caring." Mabel nodded. "Yes, and this day will always remind us that family, community, and love can face any challenge together." The family watched the stars begin to appear in the night sky. The air was peaceful, and the house felt full of warmth and security. They knew that life would continue with its ups and downs, but together, they had faced a difficult challenge and emerged stronger. Their home was safe, their family united, and their hearts full of hope and joy. The days after the celebration were peaceful and full of joy. Harold and Mabel woke every morning with a sense of calm. Their home on Elm Street was safe, and their hearts were full. The support of their children and neighbors had turned a difficult time into a story of hope and community. Anna, Leo, and Sarah stayed for a few more days, helping their parents organize the house and garden. They hung new pictures, cleaned old shelves, and made small repairs that had been long overdue. Mabel smiled as she watched them work. "It feels like a new beginning," she said. Harold nodded. "Yes, this house has been part of our family for decades, and now it feels more alive than ever. The neighbors continued to visit, checking on Harold and Mabel and sharing small gifts of flowers, food, or handwritten notes. Each visit reminded the couple that they were valued and loved by the community. Mrs. Reed brought fresh bread, and Mr. Thompson shared a basket of fruit from his garden. Each act of kindness made Harold and Mabel feel grateful and supported. One afternoon, the children suggested a small family picnic in the backyard. They spread a blanket under the shade of the old oak tree, and everyone brought snacks, lemonade, and fruit. They sat together, laughing and talking, enjoying the simple pleasure of being together. Harold looked around and said, "This moment reminds me why we fought to stay. It is not just the house. It is the life we live here, the love, and the community around us." Mabel nodded. "Our home has always been a place of warmth and happiness. Today, it feels even more special because we know that people care for us and that we can protect what we love." Anna smiled. "We have learned a lot from this experience. Planning, patience, and respect for others can solve challenges without anger or conflict." Leo added, "And we have seen that community support matters. People care when they know the truth and feel the importance of helping others." Sarah agreed. "Yes, kindness and understanding make a difference. Our parents' home was saved because we acted together as a family and included the community in our efforts." As the sun began to set, the family sat quietly, enjoying the calm and beauty of the evening. The garden glowed with the warm light, and the house felt safe and full of love. Harold and Mabel held hands, feeling grateful for their children, neighbors, and the life they had built. Mrs. Collins visited once more, bringing a small gift for the family and a note of appreciation. "I am glad we could find a solution together," she said. "I now see that homes are not only about property, but also about people, memories, and community. Your family has shown patience, respect, and courage. It is a lesson for all of us." Harold and Mabel thanked her warmly, feeling peace in their hearts. Over the following weeks, life returned to its usual rhythm. Harold spent quiet mornings reading and telling stories to neighbors' children. Mabel tended her garden, now brighter than ever with flowers and plants. The children returned to their homes but stayed in touch regularly, making sure their parents had everything they needed. The Johnsons' house felt alive with love, safety, and happiness. One evening, as Harold and Mabel sat on the porch watching the sky turn shades of orange and purple, Harold whispered, "We faced a challenge, but we came out stronger. Our family, our neighbors, and our home are now closer than ever." Mabel smiled.
"Yes, and we learned that courage, love, and unity can overcome any fear. Our home is more than walls. It is the heart of our life." The stars appeared in the night sky, sparkling like little reminders of hope. Harold and Mabel felt peaceful.
Knowing that their home was safe, their family united, and their neighbors supportive, the days of worry and uncertainty had passed, replaced with calm, happiness, and the knowledge that love and community always prevail. From that day forward, the Johnsons' house on Elm Street remained a place of warmth, laughter, and safety. Harold, Mabel, and their children had shown that respect, patience, and unity could face any challenge. Their story became an example of hope, courage, and the power of family and community to protect what truly matters.